Hello. We are back with another episode of Turn the Paige podcast. I am your host, Paige, and I'm so excited to be with you today. It feels like the last few months have been an absolute whirlwind. And now that I feel like I'm finally, knock on wood, getting to the other side of things, it's like I can take a really big, deep breath for the first time in a long time. And so now what I wanted to come on this week and talk about is something that just feels really good and feels really exciting, because I have noticed as things have started to settle and as I have been finding my groove and, my house remodel being finished, my salon being completely transitioned over to this new space, and my holistic products, and how excited I am and my clients are about the color and the retail that I'm selling, and being able to really find my new groove in 2026. I wanted to reflect on just the concept of reigniting that fire, reigniting the passions in our lives, and how difficult that can be as an adult, as a person who's going through each and every day, and you have a job and busy schedules and bills and kids and relationships and all of these things going on. And it's like there's days, there's years, there's seasons sometimes where it's like all I feel like I can do is keep my head above water. And then you're sitting here telling me that I need to find something that I'm passionate about. Like, get real. I've been there. I've felt that way. I've experienced that. And as I've been able to observe how that has played a factor in my life the last couple of years, I feel like I've learned some really good lessons from it. And so I wanted to come on here and I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to share it because I feel like it is something that is so relatable. I started doing hair when I was 17 years old. I had just finished my junior year of high school, and I decided that I was going to go to beauty school. And so that summer between my junior and senior year of high school, I went to beauty school every day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and then started doing hair on what we called the floor in August that year. So I started my senior year of high school and I started taking clients at my beauty school. And so when this all began, I had the intentions of going to beauty school so that I could have a job while I attended college. Well, because of many, many reasons and many, many decisions that young 17, 18-year-old Paige made, I didn't end up going to college. I actually went to one semester at a community college and had already gotten a job at a salon and felt the desire to be at work making money way more than I did in the business classes that I had signed up for. So I didn't put any energy into that, and I ended up dropping out after a semester. Now, fast forward 16 years later, I have had a thriving business in this small town that I work in and I live in and I grew up in. And I first began my hair journey working about 30 minutes away on a college campus, which is really great and fun and exciting, and, led me to some really great memories and also some really, really great friendships that have lasted, since then, have lasted the last 16 years. But after I became pregnant with my oldest daughter, her dad and I decided that we were going to put a salon in our house. And so I worked there, started my own business, and began the I don't know, like the crazy chapter of being an entrepreneur, being self-employed, being in control of my own schedule and my money, and the ways in which that I ran my business. It's like all of that is new and exciting and scary. Absolutely scary, especially because I was so young. I was 20 years old when I started that business on my own. And I was a new mom. I was newly engaged. I was like navigating all of these big changes in my life. And I had no idea who I was. I just knew that I wanted to do hair. I knew that I was good at doing hair. And I was like born to yap. So, what better place for me than in a hair salon? So, I started that journey. I started that journey with so much excitement and so much passion, and I wanted to learn, and I was going to hair shows and, constantly like promoting my craft and excited when I had new clients come in. And I would literally take any client that I could get because we were broke and we needed the money. But because I just wanted that business to grow and expand. So over the years after, my first husband and I split is where I found my home over at the salon that I just left. And I had been there for the last 11 years. And it's so crazy to think about, and time flies by so significantly quickly. But the version of myself that showed up in that salon was very lost. I was very lost. I was feeling so much shame and really, truly running from the grief of going through my first divorce. I was a young mom to a, which time? I think Maisie was 3, to a 3-year-old. And I still had no idea who I was. I still had no idea who I was. I was just trying to listen to who the world thought I should be. And luckily, I found a place to land. I found, what was called the Water Tower Place Salon, and they welcomed me with open arms. It eventually transitioned into being Sheer Madness. Again, I carried that name with me from the salon that I had started at my home. And then eventually it carried into replacing the Water Tower Place. And, Sheer Madness was like my second baby. I had Macy, and then I had birthed this business. And for so long and for so many years, I felt like, oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And I used to work my ass off. I would work my ass off. I would do like 25 weddings a year. And that's really how my name started getting out there, was by doing wedding hair and formal hair and proms and homecomings and all of these dances. And, it just really grew my business. It grew my online following because that really just existed on Facebook. Like there wasn't business pages on Instagram. Genuinely, when Instagram first came out, I thought it was a photo editing app and did not realize that as I was editing photos, they were also being posted onto a profile. So I am aging myself, yes, but gladly so. And so I was growing an online following on Facebook when I was able to create a business page and just embarking on a journey that I had no idea where it was going to lead me. But I loved my job. I loved doing hair. The women that I worked with, we had such a camaraderie and we were able to laugh and joke. And, it didn't matter if we were having shitty days or great days, arms wide open always. And that was such like a great, warm, welcoming feeling. Now, over time, as you all know, if you have been listening for a while, my life significantly changed. I got into another relationship. I got remarried. I had another baby. And then I also got divorced again. I went through significant bouts of depression and, really started to take a look at my life and myself because fast forward another 7 years, I still didn't know who I was. And I still didn't know how to love myself. And I still didn't know how to be an authority in my life. I was just allowing my story to be written by anybody who would take the pen, anybody who I could give my power away to that would, give me some semblance of false safety in the world. I was like, please, here, take it. Tell me who to be. Tell me who you want me to be. And even though there were so many things that were being shown to me that was like, this isn't who you are, this isn't an alignment, this isn't what you value, I just ignored it. I ignored myself and I ignored my truth until I physically couldn't anymore. And so I had my dark night of the soul moment. And at the beginning of 2021, I rapidly started to change my life. And when that process began, I had no idea how significantly it was going to affect my business. And now looking back, I watch as that fire that I had, that passion that I had for this work that I did in this way in which I was of service to my community started to go out. It started to go out. That fire started to go out. And realistically, up until about 6 months ago, maybe even less, like maybe even like 4 months ago, it really dwindled down to like embers. Ember and earth. Hey, look at that. Look at that. But it really dwindled. It really dwindled down to nearly nothing. And I had to take a really, really hard look at that because this is all I've ever done. Hair is all I have ever done. That's been my only job as an adult, my only paying job, my way in which that I've kept the bills paid and a roof over my head. And I've used it as a tool of survival in this world. I'm so, so grateful for that. But I had to acknowledge how significantly that was changing. And so fast forward a couple years after my dark night of the soul moment, I was doing a lot of therapy. I was doing a lot of healing. I was peeling back all of the layers of all of the shit that I had been running from for such a long time. And my hair business held me through that. My hair business held me through that. My clients held me through that. And in the same ways in which I have held them through their hard times and through their shit. And so it's these bonds that you build that are so profound that they carry on into other areas of your life. And, as I grew further and further away from being in alignment with that business, I was terrified. I was terrified of losing these people. I was terrified of losing this piece of my identity. But I knew that something had to change. I just didn't know what. And there is a version of me that existed, 2 years ago, hell, a year ago, that thought that she had to have all of the things figured out. And one of the things that 2025 taught me was that I don't have to have all of the answers. I get to just set the intentions and have faith. I get to set the intention and have faith and watch it unfold. I don't have to make all the plans and I don't have to set all the goals. Do I have to show up and do the work when it's necessary? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I don't have to work and fast forward. I don't have to work and fast forward. I get to be in the present moment and allow life to unfold. And if you are like me, if you are a person that's like, let's grab life by the balls and run like the wind with it, and I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to do it. And you're extremely independent and it's hard for you to receive. And you are not only running from your ability to trust, but you're running from your ability to stay present and be vulnerable. And I know that feeling so, so well. And I know how easy it is to get caught up in those cycles and that continuation of that pattern because I'm still unwiring it. And that is something that I had to go through, over the last few years. I've always wanted changes in my life to happen in a snap. And I've always wanted it to be a sprint. I mean, my God, I'm an Aries, Sun, Mercury, Venus. Like I have got the lowdown on that impulsive energy and how that energy can transpire into your life in its shadow. And it's like sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes you have to wait for the pieces to fall into place. And you have to, instead of that fire, that passion, that ignition burning rapidly, you have to let it be a slow burn. And I've watched that take place in both directions with my hair business. I had to slowly watch that fire go out. And month by month, year by year, it terrified me. It terrified me over the last 5 years. It terrified me because I had no fucking idea what I was going to do. And so again, because of that, moving and fast forward, thinking that I had to figure it all out, I was reaching. I was reaching. At first, when I fell in love with astrology, I thought that's what was going to be it. I was like, I am going to become a certified astrologer and I'm going to be able to do this full time. I'm going to be able to do this full time. It's going to pay my bills. I'm going to prove everybody wrong. I'm not crazy, blah, 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 A, B, C, or D. And that didn't happen. Has my astrology business been successful? Yes. Has it been a beautiful, great addition to my life? Absolutely. But it wasn't the complete picture. It was just one piece of the puzzle. And I wanted it to be the answer to all of the discomfort that I was feeling. So again, fast forward another year, another 2 years. And then I was like, I'm going to become a certified holistic health coach. I'm going to combine these two things in some capacity to be able to walk away from my hair business and not feel scared. And I will be safe and I will make money and I will do all of the things. And this is going to be my new identity. Once again, I did that certification, love all of the information and all of the knowledge I attained from it, but it was just another piece of the puzzle. And so here I am in this hair business still, as I feel deep in my soul how significantly it is moving out of alignment with who I am and who I am growing into, and still unsure of what to do. And do you know what? Do you know what? I had to be patient. I had to be patient because all of the things were falling into place. All of the things were falling into place in the way that they were meant to, in the time in which they were meant to unfold. So how significantly can this impact our lives? How significantly can this impact the ways in which we relate to who we are and what we're doing and how we're showing up? It can change the game. Because sometimes we get in our own way when we think that we need to rush, when we think that we have all of the answers and we need to skip ahead 10 steps to go. It wasn't ready to be born yet. What was coming, what is here now, Ember and Earth Holistic, was not ready to be born yet. The fire was still going out from all of the old. And that wasn't even just like subconsciously in my life and, in who I was and trying to figure it out. It was energetically, astrologically, in the, time period of where we are right here, right now, in a new year, a new 9-year life cycle. And I knew that. I have all these tools. I've been using all these tools for 5 years. And every time I sat down with my astrologer or every time I had my human design chart read, guess what they said? It's going to be a slow burn. It's not ready yet. You just have to be patient. And again, that is what 2025 taught me. It taught me to be patient, to slow down, to set the intentions, to not make decisions based on what it is that I'm trying to prove to the world or to anyone around me, but to make them based on what I value in this life, to make them based on the intentions and with which I choose to live and be of service. And so when I got that call in August that they were closing the salon that I had worked in for 11 years, I was scared, but I knew it was the first sign that it was time, that it was time for all of these pieces to start falling into place. Last year, Turn the Paige podcast was born. It's going to be 1 in April, and I can't believe it, and I'm so excited, but it was just a piece of the puzzle. My writing, it's still something percolating in the background. It's just a piece of the puzzle. And attaining my astrology certification and my holistic health coaching certification and holding on to this hair business rather than running away from it was all a piece of the puzzle. The flame was just waiting to be reignited. And I'm happy to say that it absolutely has. It's crazy how I have started this new year working in this new space, in this new salon, with this new company, with this color line and their products, and how excited I feel about introducing it to each and every client that walks through the door. How excited I feel when I get a text message that they love the products that they bought to take home with them. How I love when people who aren't even my clients are reaching out because they have questions about the product and are interested in low tox living, that they're interested in what I have to say through a holistic lens. So I can take that knowledge from that holistic health coaching certification and I can utilize it in a way that also can be integrated with astrology, but can be integrated with my hair business. Isn't it crazy? Isn't it wild in hindsight how all of these pieces had to come together? But also how, like that flame, that fire, that passion of how I ran my business traditionally before had to die out. It had to die out. I lost clients the last couple years significantly, like color clients. I remember 1 month, it was like 3 women fell off my schedule and I panicked. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. I suck at hair. I've offended them," going through all of this list of self-blame. And now I look at it and it's like, no, I was just opening up space for new clients who move in alignment with what it is that I'm doing now. And maybe I did offend them, or maybe I did screw up. Maybe my quality wasn't as great as it had been in the past, but it was with reason. I didn't realize it. It doesn't make me a bad hairstylist. It makes me human and having a human experience. And sometimes we just outgrow each other. Sometimes a client wants to try somebody new, and that's perfectly okay. But it was just all part of this process. I had to cut back my hours last year significantly because of stuff with my kids. And, even though that was scary, I had faith and trust that it was all going to work out. It was all going to work out. There's always been a roof over my head. Groceries have always been in my refrigerator. My electric bill has always been paid because it's always working out for me. Because I am a beloved child of God. I am protected. My children are protected. And we are embarking on this new year and this new chapter of life with so much excitement and a little bit of attitude because life wouldn't be fun without it. And so, as I have felt this fire and this passion reignite within me, it's bleeding into other parts of my life. It's bleeding into this podcast. It's bleeding into, my thoughts and possibilities around relationships and, what I want that to look like in my future. I mean, I've been single for over 3 years and have not even considered the possibility of dating. And now I'm just like, okay, girl, like, you ever think you're going to experience love again? I don't know. What does that look like for you? Doesn't mean that I'm gonna jump into the dating pool, but it also means that, like, my heart is more open. And, 2025, the year of the snake, taught us that we had to let go and release all of the things and all of the parts of us that were no longer serving us and were no longer gonna serve us in this new chapter of life. And I did that. I did that freaking work. I let that freaking happen and unfold, and it was so uncomfortable, and it was so unexpectedly hard and difficult and sticky, and I felt like shit most of the year. I felt like shit and I didn't know who I was and I felt confused and I felt lost, but it was with purpose. It was with purpose. I went through all of that and I look at it now and I feel how I feel now on the other side of it. And it doesn't mean that there's not fear. It doesn't mean that there's not shit coming up that I have to deal with, but I feel so much different about the trajectory of my life and who I am in it than I ever have before. Physically, I feel different than I ever have before. And part of that is that passion. Part of that is that creativity burning and that fire in my life growing and expanding. And I just want people to know that if there is a place in your life that you feel like there's a piece of you dying, let it. Let it. Maybe it's meant to. Maybe that's your job, your career, your relationship. Maybe it's your relationship with yourself. Maybe it's your physical health, whatever it is. If you feel like there is a pattern with anything, if you feel like there are habits or something that is no longer serving you, that's dying out, that's burning out, let it. So something new can be reborn, so that it can be reignited in a way that serves you more significantly in this new chapter of life. I know it's terrifying. I know it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. It's so necessary. And you never know what's waiting. You never know what's waiting on the other side. I know it's so fucking cliche that one door closes and three more open, or whatever the saying, like whatever it is, but it's true. But it's true. We just have to believe it. We just have to believe it. And if we have to do work around our mindset or limiting beliefs, then that's the work that we're meant to do right now. And so it's been fun. Oh my gosh. Like, I feel like I'm having fun with my work. And I haven't felt that way in a long time. The days go by so fast, and I actually want to get ready and look cute. And I feel excited to talk about it. I feel as though I'm following what lights me up, which, if you know anything about human design, I am a generator, and that is the goal here in this life. And it just feels like it's opening so many doors to so many possibilities and so many new beginnings and so many new chapters, and really the rest of my life. And so this is just your reassurance that if you're closing a chapter, if you're closing a door, how exciting is it that you get to write a new one? Instead of focusing on all the things you're saying goodbye to, honor that. Those feelings are valid. Grieve it. But looking ahead, switching that perspective, look at how much space I'm opening up. Look at how much opportunity could exist on the other side of all of this. And astrologically, excitingly enough, the planet Neptune, the planet of our dreams, our creativity, our imagination, our spirituality, is moving into the sign of Aries. Fire, fire, fire. Creativity, passion, excitement, fun. As we are entering in a year of the horse, changes, new beginnings, opportunities, manifestations. Change, change, change. This is a time for us to own our truth. Own our truth, own the direction in which we wish for our life to go, to bring our creative minds and our dreams and the things that we desire into fruition. It's a time of creative action and creative movement and courageous choices. To be brave, to stand up, to honor who you are, to use your voice in a way that is intentional and that is of service. Not because you're being impulsive, not because you're trying to run, but because you want to stand still and make an impact. And within a couple weeks, the planet of Saturn, of authority, of directness, of discipline, is also going to be entering into Aries. And so with these two combined elements, it's like we're going to be able to make it happen. We're going to take all of this aggression and rage and frustration that we felt in our lives and the ways in which we've kept ourselves small to keep everybody else comfortable. And we're going to be able to use it in the pursuit of a greater good. And that starts with us taking that action in our own life. In our own life, in each and every day. It is the time for us to become the author of our own story in a way that blazes a trail. We weren't ever meant to play small. We were meant to encompass all that we desire to be and in service of the highest good, not just for ourselves, but for those around us, because that ripple effect is powerful. So find the things that light you up. Find the people that light you up. Stop consuming and start creating from the depths of your soul. Allow things to move in alignment with what you value, with what you stand for, with what you wish to bring into fruition in this next chapter of your life. We are no longer playing by anybody else's rules. We're not abandoning ourselves to stay safe. We're standing up so that we will not be forgotten. The time for passiveness, the time for not having any boundaries, the time for staying quiet or giving up or letting the world run us ragged is over. It's over. We look outside and it feels like everything is on fire. And I think what we have to remember is that we are the ones carrying the torches. Sometimes it's necessary to burn it all down so that something new can be rebuilt. But we also get to be the ones that light the way to something new, to something better, to something good. So I hope that this message finds you well. I hope that it sparked something inside of you that you needed to hear, to be reminded that this is your life. This is your time. This is your present moment to make one teeny tiny action towards the rest of your life. Life is too short. So let's grab her by the balls. Let's put some faith in God, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in. And let's see where that energy takes us. Because I think that 2026 is going to be one hell of a ride. And I'm excited. I'm excited. We're going to expect changes to happen. We're going to learn to be flexible and move with them. And we're going to let our dreams come into fruition. And we're going to understand that it's going to be hard, but we're going to dig deep and we're going to take the grit that we have been using to survive this world, and we are going to put it towards the things that make us feel alive. All right? All right. I love you all. Please come and say hi over on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook at Turn the Paige Podcast. Leave a rate or review. Like this video. Share it with the people that you love. And until next week, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.